The following is made possible by the Arpin Group and by Renewable Now. The International Society of Sustainability Professionals presents ISSP Profiles in Excellence, where leaders in sustainability share their experience so that others may learn. In this edition, we feature Thomas Day from the United States Postal Service.
Tom Day. I'm the Chief Sustainability Officer for the United States Postal Service. I've been with the Postal Service for 31 years and actually have 40 years of federal service. Before that, I had 9 years in the Army as an officer. I've, as I said, been with the Postal Service for 31 years, came up through the operational ranks, so really had been out there, what we call in the field, running operations, delivering mail, processing mail, doing all those things. And then in 2000, was promoted to headquarters and went through a series of positions. I was the Vice President of Engineering. Then I was the Vice President, or actually Senior Vice President of Government Relations, and then Senior Vice President of Intelligent Mail, which was literally bringing individual identity to individual pieces of mail. It was a big IT system that we implemented. And now, most recently, what I'm doing now for the last 3.5 years is I'm the Chief Sustainability Officer. Well, like a lot of things in careers, it was opportunity. Earlier in my career, I really hadn't forecasted wanting to be the senior government relations person for the Postal Service, but the opportunity was there. And I had done some things working with Congress that had gone well, so that was a good fit. So it was just an opportunity, and our sustainability officer position came open, and it really fit my background. My time as the Vice President of Engineering, I was also the Chief Environmental Officer, so I had worked on that portion of the sustainability aspect. So it did fit, the opportunity was there, and really at a point in time, when you think of the last 4 to 5 years, the acceptance, the understanding, the use of sustainability as part of organizational structure has just become very, very critical. So it's key that the Postal Service stays on board with that, which we had, but we needed to keep moving forward. And I just love that kind of challenge, so it was the right thing to do. In terms of what we're focusing on, I divide it into 2 major areas. And the first one is we've got to continue to reduce our impact on the environment. And we've done that. We've reduced energy, we've reduced greenhouse gas. Our 2 big projects we're working on now are about reducing our impact with landfills. We have waste that has to be disposed of, and unfortunately we still have a very high percentage that goes to landfill. We're going to go from under 50% diversion to recycling. We've funded, and this is a capital investment, we're going to bring that up to somewhere to 90 to 95%. So we're well underway with doing that. I've got full support of the Chief Financial Officer. We had to get money to do it. He likes the return on investment because it's a great business decision also. And we're also working with operations because that's who's got to be the key to make it actually work. So we're doing that. The other thing we're doing is internal. We're just focusing on where we're doing not so well, to put it on a negative way. The part that we're not doing well with is our fleet of vehicles. It's an aging fleet. It consumes ungodly amounts of fuel. We have a fleet that's about 25 years old on average, and we travel a lot of miles and we consume a lot of fuel. We need to replace that. So we're going through a critical period of time right now. We know we have to replace it. So myself, the Vice President of Delivery, the Vice President of Engineering Systems, who's responsible for the R&D effort around transportation, and our Vice President of Supply Management, we, and most importantly our teams, are working together to decide what do we need to do to make the right decision to replace a fleet of about 160,000 vehicles, and that's going to be critical. So those are the 2 biggest things internal. External, our focus is continuing to support our customers and what they need. One of the examples I use, I really believe General Electric probably has gotten it as right as anyone with their Eco-Imagination program. So taking your learning that you go through as an organization to reduce your impact on the environment and creating the tools, products, and services to do it internally, take it, turn it around, and turn it into services for your customers. And they've done exceptionally well. I don't know that we can reach the kind of revenue generation that they've reached, but we do want to fulfill that. We want to take things that we know and do well and make sure we do it for our customers. So we do something called carbon accounting. So if you're a commercial mailer with the Postal Service, we can tell you specifically for each mailing what your Scope 3 emissions data was. We're doing federal recycling, which we want to expand beyond just the federal government, but right now we have a legal restriction. And what that does is free of charge, we will ship back electronic waste, laptops, tablets, smartphones, printer cartridges, toner cartridges, a whole list of things. We'll send it back for free because the recycler we've partnered with is paying the postage bill. Simple, cheap, and easy. And the beauty of it is there's 153 million addresses we go to 6 days a week. We're already there. Yeah. Go online, tell us what you want to ship, print out the label to ship it for free, put it in the box. We'll pick it up because we're there anyway. Doesn't get cheaper, doesn't get easier. So we're working on those kind of things to do the things for our customers so they can fulfill their sustainability initiatives. I guess I've been around too long, I don't get surprised as much anymore. There's been disappointments. It comes down to people and personalities, getting people on board. Probably the disappointment is some of the people that just don't get some of this. You know, there's, I don't know how to be polite about it, but there are those that just don't understand. And the impact on the environment, what's happening with climate change. We can debate how much it is and all that, but to me, there's enough evidence that, folks, something's happening, and man is having an impact on what's happening. We've got to do our part to reduce that impact, and in some ways, another major project we're working on is climate change planning. If we're not going to do anything to reduce our impact, then we damn well better get prepared for the change that's coming. And I do find it interesting, even some want to deny that. And I just find, having grown up and lived in this country for the last 58 years, that the weather I see today is not the weather I grew up with as a kid. Something's changed. Now, if we want to argue whether or not that's carbon emissions that caused it, maybe, we can argue that. But something's changed and we better start dealing with it. So the disappointment is just running into some of that resistance on things that I think just make, they're right for the environment, they're right for people, and they're right for the business. You know, the classic triple P. It just, why wouldn't you want to do this? And yet you still run into people that don't want to do it. What we talked about, or what the whole message is about employee engagement. And having sat through some of the presentations, which were excellent, and some of the panel discussions, really eye-opening, really thought-provoking. But what it comes down to, and what I want to emphasize is, when you get past the strategic discussion and the theoretical, which you have to do, you have to understand where you want to go and why you want to do it, it comes back to, how are you going to do it? So in an organization, and this is what I'm talking about, how do you engage the organization? How do you engage the people? An organization chart is lovely and it's a concept, but what it gets down to are people. How do you get them involved? And the approach I take is a top-down, bottom-up, and you meet in the middle. My experience has been, on the issue of sustainability in the Postal Service, the good news I can tell you is I have senior management support. The CEO, the COO, the CFO, the whole crew are on board. That's the good news. They support it very directly. And what I use in my presentation are a number of videos that I personally have filmed with the CEO, the COO, and the whole crew. And so I not only get their written statement, because those written statements are easy to get, but I get ongoing support from the top to demonstrate to the entire organization that, yes, we do care about it. Bottom up is also easy. I have never found it difficult to find people, almost in any organization, that are passionate about the environment. Not every one of them, but certainly a lot of them. So you have a bottom up that's easy to get motivated to work on it. You've got a top down that is giving you the support that you need. You meet in the middle, and that's where the resistance is. And I understand, because I've been in middle management. I've been in those positions. And I know when I was a district manager, did I come in the morning and say, wow, where are we on sustainability initiatives? Where are we in energy? It just wasn't the first thing on my plate. I had other things to worry about. And that's what you have to do, is get to that middle group from the bottom and the top to understand what's going on and why they need to be involved as well. And so that's what it's all about. It's a very practical presentation about how you get an organization and the people within it engaged to do real things. Got to get past the theory and the strategy, which is all great, but you got to do something real, tangible, and that's what we're about. One of the fun things about working, and it's in this organization, I've only worked in two major organizations, the United States Army and the United States Postal Service. So to me, a typical organization is at least 500,000 people. That's typical. Yeah. But it is the wonder of working at a top level in an organization like this, because you get to do things. I envy my colleagues in smaller organizations that can be much more agile and creative. It's not easy to be agile and creative in big organizations, but the beauty of it is when you get it moving the right way, the impact, the scale, the scope is big. Yeah. So it's a little tougher, but at the end when it works, it's real. It's numbers that actually can make the needle on the dial move. We currently have out of 160, we currently have out of a fleet of about 160,000 vehicles, 40,000 of them that are E85 capable. The struggle we have there, quite honestly, is the ethanol blend. It just isn't available in enough places, and it gets to be cost prohibitive. We can't have our fleet of vehicles driving 30, 45 minutes to go fill up with fuel. It just isn't cost effective. So it's one of the things we found in general as we look at alternative fuels is the infrastructure that's available. We've done some work with CNG. Actually, we've done that for about 15 years. We've tried things like hydrogen fuel cells. We've tried electric. Whether it's charging stations, filling stations, whatever it might be, the infrastructure to support it becomes one of the real limiting factors. So yes, we're keeping a very open mind. We're going forward to replace 160,000 delivery vehicles. There's two major things we're looking at that we need to do to decide what we're going to buy. One is basically the configuration. The business of what we're doing is changing. We're going away from, we're still delivering mail, letters, magazines, newspapers, but we're delivering a lot more packages. So the configuration of our vehicles are probably going to look a lot more like a FedEx or UPS van, because we've got so many packages to deliver. So we've got to look at the different configuration. And the second big decision is what's going under the hood. What is the powertrain going to be? And we're looking at the whole realm. We've just got to find out, one, what is truly efficient and effective. And the second challenge is there an industry out there that will build it for us? We've got a lot of push on electric, but you really wouldn't find right now a manufacturer who can push out 160,000 electric delivery vans. So while it may be enticing to some, although there still is quite a challenge with electric, but if it is acceptable and feasible, who could produce it for us? So we've got to look at all that. Does the technology work? What are the impacts financially and environmentally? And can someone build it for us? In the 2000 to 2005 range, we implemented several projects on the West Coast, Sacramento, San Francisco, San Diego. They were pretty successful. They did work for us. They gave us the payback. They weren't 100% of the power source, but they were generally in the 40 to 60% range. They worked fairly well. We're still looking at it. The problem we're having now is a lack of capital. And we're trying to build a business case with solar power. We, and I will tell you, me in particular, really want to push forward with renewable energy. I think it's a good business decision. It's a good environmental decision. And the aspect in the business, the return on investment is there. The payback period is a little troubling. It's still in the 5 to 7 year time frame. And when you're short on capital and you've got other things to invest in, that makes pushing renewable solar a little difficult. I think one of the things that I look towards is I look at the Department of Defense and what they've done. And part of their model of what justifies it, reducing the impact of the environment, you get the payback eventually, you get an ROI, but it's about being prepared. It's about continuity of operation. When the grid goes down, you've got to keep running. the military can't say, grid's down, we're not going to work today. We're going to forget about defense of the country for the next 2 weeks. You've got to keep running. And solar energy, particularly microgrid solar energy, is a great way to go, other than just throwing a bunch of diesel-powered generators as your backup power supply. Because the beauty of it is, rather than waiting for it to go down to use that generator, you're actually getting the benefit of the solar power 24/7 or near there. So it's the right way to go. We just got to push towards it and find the capital funds to make it happen.
Visit sustainabilityprofessional.org for more about profiles in sustainability excellence and other exciting programs from ISSP, the world's leading professional association of sustainability practitioners.